Simple event. I don't have my props ready. 1 second, I'll be right back. A simple event is an outcome or a collection of outcomes, like rolling a 5 on a dice cube or rolling a 6 on a dice cube is a simple event. But you could also have, if you have a deck of cards like this, picking a 10, Jack, Queen, or a King would also be a simple event, because you've defined all the possibilities. All the face cards and 10s would be considered favorable. It's still a simple event to pick one of those cards. You just have more than one favorable outcome. In this case, you would have 4 times 4, or 16 favorable outcomes. Here, with the 6 on a dice cube, you have one favorable outcome. So this one is 1/6, this one is 16 50-seconds. Did I do that right? Does that simplify to 4/13? It does. Okay. So, but a simple event doesn't have to be just a single thing. It's just defined. You define what the event is, and then you calculate the probability of that event happening by comparing the number of favorable outcomes to all the possible things that could happen. Like there's 52 cards. I could flip to any one of 52 cards, but I flip to a 10, Jack, Queen, or King every time. Oh, almost. Okay, so that's a simple event. Complementary events are 2 events in which one or the other must happen, but they cannot happen at the same time. So if rolling a 6 on a dice cube is my simple event, the complementary event would be all of the other things that could happen. So if I don't roll a 6, what else could happen? I could roll a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Those are complementary events. And we'll look at some complementary events. We already said the probability of heads is 1/2, and the probability of tails is 1/2. You have this table on your notes in some form, so fill it in as we go. If I have a bag with a yellow, green, and orange cube in it, what's the probability of pulling out a yellow cube if I pull one at random? It's 1/3. Yellow cube. What's the probability that I'll pull a green or an orange? Well, now we have 2 favorable outcomes compared to 3 possible outcomes. So 2/3 probability. Yellow, 1/3. Green or orange, 2/3. The probability of picking an ace at random, like that, didn't work. That would be, there's 4 aces in the deck. So 4 out of 52 possible cards. The complementary event would be not picking an ace, picking something that's not an ace. Well, if there's 52 cards and 4 of them are aces, there must be 48 that are not aces. So much more likely to pick a card that's not an ace than to pick an ace. But there's a pattern to complementary events. So see if you can see the pattern, the relationship. You may have already figured it out. It has to do with their sum. So 1/2 plus 1/2 is 2 halves. 1/3 plus 2/3 is 3/3. 4 50-seconds and 48 50-seconds is 52 50-seconds. And all of these equal 1. Well, it makes sense, because if they're complementary, let's start with the heads or tails. If my simple event is heads, the complementary event are all of the other possible things that could happen. If it's not heads, it must be tails. I'm certainly going to get heads or tails, one or the other. So the probability that I'll get, if you add the probability of getting heads to the probability of getting tails, it should come out to 1. There's a 100% chance that I'm going to get heads or tails. If the probability of picking a yellow cube is 1/3, the probability of picking one of the other cubes must be the complement, or 2/3. They have to add up to 1 whole. And so this is, while this may seem like a simple relationship or kind of obvious, it has important implications with problem solving, and you'll see that very soon. Actually, you'll see it right now. So a dart lands in the square region shown below, the big square. That it lands in that big square. You throw a dart and you're guaranteed it's going to land in that square somewhere. It could land in the gray, it could land in the white. What is the probability that it lands in the white triangle? Pause and try that on your own, and then you can use the next near pause slide. It's draw it slide, and then advance past that and watch the video to see how that's done.